Well, with Epic Universe opening in less than a month from now, Universal obviously is very excited about this new park. But before this park opens, the recent financial report from Universal did show the parks and revenue has been down a bit, which really isn't that surprising. But we can also get a glimpse into what they're saying about the demand for Epic Universe, because that is a question out there from a lot of people as to what is the actual demand of this park and not just the hype of it. So we have an article here we're going to go through and talk about all of this and give some thoughts on it. So hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic, and this is from Blow Loop. I think that's how you say that, Blue Loop or Blow Loop. It says attendance revenue down at Universal Parks ahead of Epic Universe launch. It says attendance and revenue was down at Universal's theme parks in the first quarter of 2025, the parent company Comcast has reported in its latest financial results. Despite the decreases, Universal is seeing strong demand ahead of the launch of Epic Universe in Orlando on May 22nd. For the quarter ended 31 March, it's a weird way to say that, revenue for Universal theme parks dropped by 5.2% from the same period last year to $1.87 billion. Comcast has attributed this decrease to lower revenue at its U.S. parks, driven by lower attendance, including the impact of this year's Hollywood wildfires. Adjusted EBITDA, which stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and I think it's amortization, I believe. It's a long-winded way of kind of showing some revenue.
You don't say.
For the park segment was also down by 32% to $429 million, reflecting lower revenue and higher operating expenses, including around $100 million of pre-opening cost of Epic Universe. Brian Roberts, chairman and chief executive officer of Comcast, says, quote, remain on an incredible growth trajectory. He also did say we see strong demand for Epic Universe. He says we could not be more excited for the grand opening of Epic Universe in Orlando next month and our plans to bring a new world-class theme park to the UK. In an earnings call, Comcast president Mike Cavanaugh said the company has seen strong demand since launching Epic ticket sales in the fourth quarter of 2024. The response of Epic Universe has been nothing short of phenomenal, with thousands of media stories, social media posts, and fan reviews characterizing Epic as having groundbreaking creativity and taking immersive entertainment to a whole new level, he said. Beyond Epic Universe, Universal's park business continues to expand, beginning with the debut of Universal Horror Unleashed in Las Vegas this August. This will be followed by Universal Kids Resort in Frisco, Texas, which launches next year. And additionally, Universal plans to build its first ever park in the UK, with construction to start in 2026 and an opening scheduled for 2031. Jason Armstrong, Comcast Chief Financial Officer, said, at parks, we're really looking forward to Epic Universe. All of the earlier reviews have been spectacular, and we're incredibly excited for the transformation Epic will bring to visitors in the Orlando market. Seeing that the revenue and attendance was down in the parks, before Epic opens is not a surprising thing at all. That's something that I was saying would happen and was likely to happen for 1 to 2 years before this park opens, because again, in an environment where people are watching what they spend more, not having as much discretionary income, people are going to maybe wait to spend a big chunk of money. When you're talking thousands of dollars to go on a vacation, more than likely you're just going to wait until this new park is open before you spend that money. And really the impact of it is still unknown and what that will look like once this park opens. But the park is already kind of open. I mean, you do have previews going on. There have been team member previews going on for months now. So this park, while officially opens May 22nd, has been kind of open in a semi, pre-opening phase, I guess you could say. Officially, it opens May 22nd. They're going to stick to that. But, basically anybody can go to this park now. So that's something that is not uncommon how Universal operates. If you look at how they've opened up like DreamWorks Land or the Minions area, they did a lot of previews that, basically anybody that wanted to go could go check this out before it officially opened. That's just kind of how they tend to operate from what I have seen. So hopefully they're working through a lot of the potential issues with this park. Obviously, I think there's a lot of pressure on this park, so they're wanting things to go off without a hitch on May 22nd. During previews, things are going to happen, but it is understandable in that situation. They're not going to get as much flack for rides being down, for issues popping up that will happen. But once May 22nd hits and say there are major issues, that is going to be something that will be talked about a lot. So I think that's a lot of this is trying to increase the capacity of the park to try and, alleviate potential issues that they could see when this park opens. So I think that's part of that as well. But another interesting thing too, just talking, economics of theme parks, is we did see Bob Iger from Disney go out and talk about the potential tariff impacts that could be affecting Disney's future building of the lands and attractions they previously had announced. He went on some of the ABC news shows and was saying that the tariffs might impact that. It was going to impact the cruise lines and that it could delay things at Disney. And you're seeing a different tone come from Universal. This is at a deadline. It says, according to Brian Roberts, not yet any impact from Trump tariffs. Comcast says theme park bookings steady ahead of Epic Universe debut. It says Comcast execs speaking to Wall Street analysts on their first quarter earnings call Thursday maintain they have not yet seen Trump tariffs uncertainty hit their financials. Theme park bookings are holding up despite data indicating notable declines in overall air travel, and advertising is also on course, the company said. They said, quote, while we have not seen any impact from the current macroeconomic uncertainty, advertising is a category that has shown the most economic-related cyclicality in our business, CFO Jason Armstrong maintained on the earnings call. However, for the upfront and up for the balance of the year, we feel well-positioned in the market. President Mike Kavanaugh, fielding an analyst questions about recent airline data indicating a significant decline in travel, said the trend is not impending the company's theme park business. The opening next month of Epic Universe in Orlando, an ambitious park, years in the planning, is a high-profile initiative for Comcast and a challenge for Disney's nearby operations. He says first quarter results were stable in Florida, Kavanaugh said. What we're seeing for advanced bookings, both ticket sales and hotel bookings, are strong for the overall parks and for Epic. So while I see the same headlines you're seeing about airlines and the like, some of that might be outside the window of our booking windows, but what we're seeing continues to be tracking well. Comcast domestic parks, quote, do draw a lot of folks from the U.S. and a lot of folks from the markets in the South, Kavanaugh noted. In the case of Florida, they're not necessarily hopping on planes to get there, so there may be a delayed effect in terms of what the airlines are starting to report and what we see. And we talked in the other article about the wildfires out in L.A., and he said in L.A., where the company operates Universal Studios, customers have been staying away to a surprising degree after the wildfires in January, Kavanaugh conceded. But parks in Japan and China, meanwhile, are thus far stable, he added. So it seems like, essentially what they're saying is the overseas parks in Orlando have been pretty stable, but they took a pretty significant hit out in California from the wildfires that continued even after they had to close down. I think they closed down for like a day and a half out there, but they were still seeing down attendance after that whole thing, which does make a lot of sense. A lot of people had their homes burned down and people were trying to recover from these things. So those people weren't looking to go to theme parks. So that part does make sense. So they didn't give a percentage as to how much of that was due to the California wildfires. So that really drop in the revenue and stuff on the theme park side could be a lot of it contributed to California and what was happening out there, but they didn't give specifics on which park and which area were up or down, but they were saying that essentially the other ones were stable outside of Universal Hollywood. And some of this could be the fact of how Disney and Comcast sort of make their money. Disney indicating they could see a slowdown on things. Like Disney makes their money, like they're an entertainment company. They're going to make most of their money, if not all of their money, basically off discretionary income, and people that have, can go on trips, go to movies, go, get Disney Plus and things. And so people not spending as much money can hit Disney much more. Plus you add in potential tariff issues that could hit Disney a lot more than Comcast, because Comcast is a cable internet provider company for the most part. That's their main core of business. And so cable has been really, shrinking as the years have gone on. But, internet for the most part, people are going to keep internet even if there's a downturn in the economy, even if things are more expensive. Like internet has just become a part of day-to-day life. So Comcast kind of has more of a steady income stream on at least their base level there. So they may be able to withstand some more increased costs potentially, or they also just could weigh it with they've got a lot of momentum, they like the direction things are going, and they don't want to, have any effect on that. So they might just eat some of those costs and be willing to pay more to continue to go down the trajectory that they're on, especially if you're talking about a really competitive market here and you're able to do it. If your, biggest competitor being Disney is already indicating they might, be slowing down, they might be delaying some things that are going to, essentially the things Disney is building is a response to Epic Universe. If your biggest competitor is already indicating that, if you're able to eat some of the increased costs there, if they do hit them and you continue to build out, that would be another way to continue to gain market share. So that could be part of this, as well as even if they have the increased costs there, they may be aggressive enough and really see the long view of it enough to say, yeah, that's fine. Like we'll deal with that because we maybe have a 20, 30 year plan. And I think when you're looking at theme parks too, it's not just how Epic Universe is going to impact this year for Universal and Comcast. It's 10, 20, 30-year plan here. And I think when you're talking about a theme park, it's not just like a movie release where you've got a little window there where it makes money and then it just kind of goes away. I mean, theme parks are around for a long time. So you're looking at decades and decades where they can build off of what they're doing. So even if in the short term, opening this park, say there's an issue in the economy or people aren't traveling as much, it doesn't mean that it's not a success, or it doesn't mean that, oh, we shouldn't have built Epic Universe. They could just be looking at this going, in the short term, whatever the situation is, that is what it is. But 10, 20, 30 years down the road, we still think this is the right direction to go. And I think that may be how they're looking at this. It would make a lot of sense to do that. And it's a great foundation of a theme park that you can continue to build off of. And if right now in this current market, it's sort of like investing. Like there's no perfect time to invest. Like there's going to be macro and microeconomic issues, but you can just sit there and say, okay, whatever the issue is right now, I like where this is going in 10, 20, 30 years, where Disney, seemingly the way Disney sort of operates lately, everything's being very like quarter by quarter, kind of short-sighted in many ways. So they could look at it much different than how Universal's looking at it. And again, you're talking about Disney has the market share. I mean, it has been being encroached on by Universal, but they still have the market share. Magic Kingdom is still the number one theme park destination in the world. So they could very well just have a different mindset about this, thinking much more short term and much more of like a cash flow issue, where Universal could be thinking much more long term. And how that plays out. I think thinking more long term on these things is a better way to go, having more of a vision on this and not just a quarter by quarter revenue and profit measure that I kind of feel like in the last 10 years under Iger, Disney has definitely gotten into, of just trying to bolster revenue and profits every single quarter and not seemingly have an overall vision for what they want, especially like Orlando, like Disney World property, what they want it to be. They seem very reactionary to what Universal's doing. And I think overall, Universal may just have a different viewpoint of how to look at these things versus, Disney. So which one wins out? Obviously, we won't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But I don't think Epic Universe is just for this year, how it looks. And if it doesn't have, an amazing quarter, it doesn't mean that it's not a good investment or it's not successful. This could just mean, as of right now in this year, 2025, it may not be what they thought. But going forward, it very well just could end up paying off more and more as they continue to add to this park and the existing parks and just slowly continue to eat into market share, which I think is what their plan is, they have indicated they want to be the number one choice when it comes to theme parks in Orlando. You're not going to get there in a day. You're not going to get there in a year, but you might get there, if that's your overall goal, 10, 20, 30 years down the road. And I kind of feel like, Universal hasn't come out and said that, but I do feel like that's sort of their mindset of a much more long-term goal-oriented, like this is where we want to be. We're not going to get there tomorrow, but with the things that we're doing, we like the direction we're going. The interesting part is how you're seeing the rhetoric from Disney and Bob Iger talking about the tariffs potentially impacting them and what they might do. And Universal and Comcast essentially are saying we haven't seen any impact from that yet. And we know they're being very aggressive. They're building the UK park. They're building the kids resort down in Frisco, Texas. They're getting ready to open in August the Halloween Horror Night year-round experience out in LA. They've already said they're going to close down Rip Ride Rocket for a new attraction, and they've already indicated they have a slew of things coming to the existing Universal parks and also the expansion areas of Epic Universe. So they haven't indicated that any of that is going to slow down, because I do think, and I've been saying for a while, that Universal is going to be very aggressive even after Epic opens. I think a lot of people figured once Epic opens, Universal might slow down, but I don't think that's the case. I think they're going to be even more aggressive this next decade, and I'm not seeing anything indicating that any of the things that they potentially have planned are going to be put on hold or delayed or changed. So it's kind of interesting just seeing the different dynamics there of how Disney's sort of indicating they could see some changes to plans or some delays in the plans, where Universal seems like they're going straight forward ahead, not indicating at least publicly that they're not going to delay anything. It'll be interesting to see after Epic opens, what kind of announcements do they have about the things coming to the existing parks, because that is something that a lot of people pointed to. And I will openly say, I think that Universal Studios, the flagship home park there, does need some help. It hasn't had a lot of things in the past few years in terms of headlining attractions open. You've had Hagrid's, you've had Velocicoaster and Islands of Adventure. So I think the existing parks do need some things to beef them up, especially whenever you have Epic Universe. And I've been there. It's a fantastic theme park, cutting edge. It's great. We're getting ready to go back for some previews, be there opening day. So if people go to that park that have never been to Universal and then go to the existing parks, there is a difference in the immersion, kind of the quality of some of the attractions. So I think it makes a lot of sense to beef up the existing parks to try and match the immersion and some of the quality and things that you're seeing in Epic Universe, which I think Universal will completely do. So I think they have a lot of motivation to keep going on those things because they just want to become more of a vacation destination. And to do that, I think they're going to have to round out the parks a bit more. So I think they'll continue to do that. But, from everything we're seeing here, it seems like Epic Universe has had a positive effect. We'll have to wait and see in the next financial earnings report because Epic Universe will be on the books for that in terms of what that looks like financially. So that'll be interesting to see how that looks when those next numbers come out. But that's how it's currently looking. Not too surprising out of any of this. I think the most surprising thing may have been out in Hollywood, how much the wildfires kind of brought those, attendance numbers and revenue down and how much it has lingered and where they had to close down for like a day and a half there. And I'm sure Universal is eagerly, waiting for Epic Universe to open and looking forward to seeing what the next numbers look like. And we will talk about it on here once we learn about it. But either way, that's going to be it though for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel as we do lots of coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about all this? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.